So I yelled out in the darkness, "Jesus, please save me." And he appeared as a spot of light and very rapidly got very bright and very big and came over me in an impossibly white light. And he reached down and picked me up and lifted me up to him. And in his light, I saw myself for the first time, and I was gore. I was just all gore. Horrible, disgusting, unrecognizable unrecognizable as a person. And when he touched me, all the gore and wounds, it was like they were made of fine dust, like flour or confectionery sugar. And it was like his light just blew all the gore away.
This is what needs to be. This is calm. This is incredibly serene. This is amazing. Light, power, this movement, then this warmth, a lot of things happening there which is unexplainable for me. And then I'm thinking, but where am I? I mean, maybe I'm in America and somebody drugged me and I have hallucination. Maybe some hallucination is part of that what I'm going through, but in reality I don't feel anything. I don't feel my body. I don't feel... Where is George? I don't have face. I don't have body. I am in light, but I am. I am because I'm thinking. And I am because I am aware that I am.
And I remain suspended in this loving light, enthralled in this total feeling of peace and serenity and beauty and love. And I realized that indeed I was in the presence of my God and my Creator, who was surrounding me with this light, with this love. There is only one word to describe it, and that word is ineffable. And while I was in this light, I felt that I was being purged of my earthly life, of all of my sins and transgressions. And I realized that despite the life I had been leading, that I was still loved by my Creator. Despite what I had experienced just before I found myself in this place, I was still loved by my God and my Creator.
Impossible to describe. Very frustrating, because if I could describe it in any way, it would be quite impressive to people, but it's completely ineffable. I knew that this was Jesus. I knew that he was very powerful. I mean, he picked me up as if I was nothing at all, as if I were a feather. I knew, I don't know how I knew this, but I knew he knew me more than I knew me. I knew that I didn't have any secrets. Everything I was and had done and thought, I knew. So I don't know how, but I just knew he knew it all. He knew everything about me. But most importantly, I knew that he loved me in a way that I had never even dreamt he could be loved.
And I am in this light, and where is me? And I saw, as a panoramic view, Daniel Brinkley has that word, and I would repeat, the panoramic view of life. Everything from the beginning of my birth, my ancestors, my children, my son, my wife, everything comes together. Simultaneously, I saw everything about me and about everybody who was around me, and I saw what they were thinking now, what they thought then, what was happening before, what was happening now. There is no time, there is no sequences of events, there is no such thing as limitation of distance, of period, of time, of place. I could be anywhere I wanted to be simultaneously.
And what happened next was I found that my friend was again at my side, and we were floating down into what I describe in my book as a celestial amphitheater. And as we floated down into this amphitheater, there were many, many spiritual beings in front of me. And I realized that indeed this was my home. This was my spiritual home. And I realized that all of these beings were my spiritual brothers and sisters. And at a certain point during this experience, there was suddenly a hush. And during this hush or this silence, I found myself stepping forward, just one step. And as I stepped forward, I was suddenly enveloped in what I would call a virtual reality. It was like stepping into a crystalline sphere. And as I had stepped forward and I was surrounded in this crystalline sphere, I knew I was still among my spiritual brothers and sisters, but I was in this other dimension, in this other virtual reality. And what happened was I began to experience a life review, a review of my earthly life.
And after a while, we started to leave this place of darkness, torment, pain, and we went straight up. And I think we were moving pretty fast. Pretty hard to tell, but we were making a lot of progress quickly. And I could see far, far away the focal point of light that we were headed towards, and that everything around us moved in relationship to that focal point. In other words, everything was either moving towards that focal point or moving away from that focal point of light. And all of a sudden I knew that somewhere in that focal point of light was God, and we were going there. And I thought to myself, they've made a terrible mistake. I'm garbage. I don't belong here. And with that, we came to an immediate halt, and he spoke to me for the first time directly into my mind, having heard my thoughts, knowing all my thoughts. And he said, we don't make mistakes, you do belong here. And so we began to converse. Him knowing everything that I thought, and me hearing his voice in my mind, not going through my ears. Then he said that he had friends that he wanted me to meet. I was, sure. He made musical tones, musical sounds, and other people of light came to us and hung. We were all hanging in space, sort of halfway between the world of dark and the world of light. And we're hanging there, and they began to try and put me at ease. Fairly shortly, they made it clear that what they had come to do was to show me their record of my life. And what I came to understand was these people at different times in my life, sometimes singularly and sometimes in groups, had been with me during my life, and they had recorded my life. So what they were showing me was their record of my life, not my record of my life. And we did in chronological order from a baby forward. And they only showed me episodes. There'd be this episode, then we'd skip some time, and then we'd see this episode. So it wasn't like I saw my entire life or anything like that. It was like their selected record. And what they were showing me was how I had interacted with other people.